and racked by famine and plague. Desperate, unscrupulous men deserted the temples of their fathers and gathered in forbidden cults, seeking the favor of the dark gods. And so it was, in the year 2301, that a Kurgan warlord named Asavar Kul united the savage tribes of the Chaos Wastes and made war upon the realms of men. The invaders entered the distant northern kingdom of Kislev and sacked its largest city, Prague. They sacrificed its people to their dark gods, and any who managed to flee were driven into the freezing wilderness. The Empire seemed powerless to stop the Chaos Horde, and many feared that the end of the world was at hand. But in the Empire's darkest hour, a nobleman from the south named Magnus rallied the people of the Empire to resist the invaders, uniting the warring Elector counts in the process. The Imperial army marched to the rescue of the Kislevite capital, fighting Kul's army in a massive battle outside the city walls. Joined by mighty heroes from all across the land, Magnus defeated Kul in single combat, and the Chaos Horde was scattered to the winds. Blessed by the gods and heralded as the true Emperor, Magnus returned to Nuln in triumph. But even as the old world celebrated Magnus's victory, the dark gods were planning their revenge. As a young dwarf in the great city of Karazakarak, you were taught the legends of your ancestors. Ever since, you have longed for the day when you could win fame and glory of your own and restore the luster of your much-diminished clan. When High King Thorgrim Grudgebearer called for warriors to aid Kislev during the Great Chaos Invasion, you were one of the first to pledge your service. Along with your father and your younger brothers, you left Karazakarak behind, marching eagerly to war. It wasn't long before you were in the thick of the fight, trapped inside the city of Kislev. You and your kin fought fiercely against the Chaos Horde. When Kul's first assault breached the city gates, it was the dwarfs who led the counterattack that drove the enemy back and saved the day. Your fearlessness in battle earned you the name Axebiter, and the Kislevites hailed you as a hero. But the more you tasted of glory, the more you began to crave it. When Magnus's army arrived outside the city, your thirst for immortal fame ended in tragedy. Leading a force of 300 dwarfs, you tried to fight your way out of the city to join the Imperials and fight Kul's army together. It was a deed worthy of legend, but not even Grimnir himself could have fought his way through so vast a horde. Your reckless charge was driven back at a bitter cost. Half of the valiant dwarfs that had followed you were slain, including your father and all of your brothers. Racked with guilt over the deaths of your kin, you swore powerful oaths of vengeance against the dark powers. And so you chose the path of the Slayer, seeking redemption through a glorious death in battle. When the final battle outside the city walls began, you went forth alone to find Asavakul and challenge him to single combat. You carved a bloody path through the enemy, reaching the Chaos Lord in time to see him fall to Magnus and his knights. After the battle, you accepted an invitation from Magnus to join his retinue and return with him to Nuln. As far as you were concerned, the new Emperor owed you a glorious death, and with many of Asavakul's champions still alive, you could be sure Magnus would not lack for foes.
You there! Have you come to take me to Magnus? I must speak with Magnus at once. There is some...
Magnus? Well, he's busy.
Ah, yes, I remember you now. You were with the army at Kislev. Thank the gods. You know firsthand the dangers of which I speak. I am Ludwig Falk, gunnery master of the Imperial Gunnery School. When Magnus raised his army to fight Asavakul's invasion, we sent every working gun we had. Only after the battle was won, we came back to Nuln expecting a glad homecoming.
It pains me to hear it, friend, truly. But there's naught to do until the sickness runs its course.
Then consider this. Other than a few terse what is more, the smokestacks at the foundry have been belching...
Yes, I see your point.
Someone must get inside the foundry and learn the truth. I know of a way inside the complex through the city docks. Find the missing engineers and rescue them if you can. They'll be able...
Falk was right. There is more here at work than just the play. I've lost the blood rush! I need to fight! I need to fight! I need to fight! I must return to the fight!